Hey my friends, it's your boy Banner and welcome to another episode of Try Bonsai. My friends, today I was going to look at something else, but I had this project to look at. And as I'm looking at this project, I decided, you know what, I'm going to stick with this one and show you all what's happening with this. There are a couple of flaws with this secret project. This was another project that I did, ongoing project that I did off camera, because I wanted to try something. And now that it is growing, it has been growing for quite some time, probably a year. And I'm noticing, well, a couple flaws in my humblest of opinions where this is concerned. And with those, I'm going to show you those flaws, and then we're going to think about ways or look at ways we could possibly try to correct those flaws if they could be corrected. Right? So, with that said, let me give you a closer look into what is happening. So, this is a couple Gmelina trees, planted over a rock. And as you could see, I've been allowing them to grow. Yes, I pruned them back a couple times before, but I've generally been allowing them to grow. And they've greened up quite nicely. The shoots are very, very long, and they're looking nice and green and healthy. But here are the issues that I've noticed. They are on a rock that is sliding down into the pot and ending up on this side of the container. All right. This first tree is not sitting on the rock as it should. Yeah. That, my friends, is something of a problem. But this is what I have. This is what was done. So this is what I will have to work with. Right? So I have to find a way or figure out a way of breaching this space, if it means creating a small rock or finding a little rock to stick in between here to justify and realize I'm blocking your view. If it means finding a small rock to justify, to fill this space, and make it look a little bit more natural, because as it stands right now, this thing growing like it's floating on top of this rock. And that is not how this is supposed to look. That is one. On this same little tree, yeah, a twin trunk thing kind of happening here, which would have looked very nice if it were closer to the rock. But that is not why I'm highlighting this. If you're looking at this from the side view, and the camera flip all for itself, if you're looking at this from the side view, one trunk blocks out the other completely, except for the trunk in the back, two branches coming out on either side. Second floor. The next thing, this is dead straight. And I think this needs a bit more character. So, today, my friends, I'm going to have to make some very, very, very tough choices. And the first tough choice, I think, would be to cut back one of these trunks, at least this taller one. And as it grows out, start to do some directional pruning to foster movement. Now, what that would also mean is that I can leave it as a twin, or I could sacrifice one. But I don't know if I want to sacrifice one. I think I would want to leave it as a twin and foster a better movement in this trunk line. and better taper in the trunk line as well. So those are the flaws that I am seeing in my view. You know, this not sitting on the rock. It is well above. My finger could go through here. This is very straight. This not so much. This flares out just a bit, but this is straight. So we're going to cut this back and try to make some corrections. You know, add a little bit more taper, ultimately creating a little bit more value for me. The second trunk, it comes up, it veers. There's this branch that is blocking your view. It comes up and it veers nicely. That could I could work with. But there's a secondary trunk coming out here that I don't think it is needed. So I think I'm going to remove that. So on that note, my friends, let me just go. All right, so trying to give you the best possible view because there are a lot of long extending shoots moving towards you. So we're trying to give you the best possible view. I think I have the wrong tool here. I'm going to get more ratcheting pruners so that you won't strain your tool, because there's something that we all should know. You ought to know the limits of your tools. Know the limits of your tools before you break it or damage it. So give me a second. Let me get that. Ratcheting pruners. Okay, so I am back with the ratcheting pruners, and this is a very tough choice. Setting this planting back quite a bit, but a setback for better growth and better development. So the thing is, where am I going to prune along here, and what do I want? Where do I want to create movement from? I am going to prune here. So here I go. Taking this whole top off with this great amount of growth. Now I could stick this and create yet another tree. I took that off and I want to see what is happening with this trunk line behind. Does this trunk line behind make sense? It does, but I would want to shorten it, because this is going to be a very big reset. So I'm going to shorten this quite a bit. Quite a lot. Taking that off. And now that I've taken those off, I still think this is a bit long. So I'm going to come back a bit more. Taking this back quite hard. I don't know if you're seeing. Right, so I took this back quite hard. And when these start to resprout, I could direct the growth where I want it to go. Now, coming to this one, I'm just going to give it a rough cut first. Taking this off. And then pruning, because I'm not seeing any value in having this lower branch here. So that is off. And let me just clean this up. What I have happening here now. So it comes up, it goes off this way, comes back up. I want to change the angle a bit. Oh yeah, yo. So we're going to prune this back here at this point. We're going to prune this back. Branches coming out from either side, which could create a bit of a problem here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to bring this back, leaving this to develop as the new lead. And there is something that it's a thought process that I have. Sometimes you just have to look ugly first before you look nice. And this is a situation like this. This planting had to come down to an ugly state before I could create something nice. So the plans for this going forward would be growing out stuff from here and creating a bit of directional pruning, changing the direction to add character. And I need to find a rock or make a little rock or something to stick in here to justify this space. And I've seen a couple things that could be taken off. So my friends, that is it for this. And I'm going to squeeze in another pruning whilst at it. Just to give you a little 360, kinda. I need to close that space. That space is bothering me. I need to close that space. And I may have to sacrifice one of these roots from here. But what I may need to do is to expose this a bit to see what is happening under the soil. But as I say, Rome wasn't built in a day. So we're going to take this step by step. Slow and steady. Yeah? On to the next project. Okay, so next up is this acacia tree. Now, a couple months ago, I did a repot on this, and it has been doing well. There's growth extending. And what I said in that video is that I'm not going to allow it to overgrow like I did the last time, and would have had to have made several severe cuts. Now, there were a couple of branches that I was hoping to get something from as I come in closer, but that has not happened. So I have to trim those back. There is this. I have to trim this back and prune back on some of the extending growth to try to create secondary and tertiary branches. So with that said, my friends, there we get to it. So the new pot that I put it in, it seems to be doing quite well. It wanted a bit more space because the last pot was quite shallow. There are some weeds here that I'm going to take out whilst I'm talking to you. So as I was saying, the last pot was a bit shallow, and this new pot is doing, good. There are some kind of dead roots that were exposed, some live ones, some dead ones. I'm not worried about that. Allowing it to do what it's supposed to do in the interim, grow, gain vigor, become healthy. And the intention is to really and truly give this a shape, an identified shape, and maintain, grow and maintain that shape. So as it is leaning like this, I could possibly create a windswept. But I don't want to do that. I think I want to have a thing for creating canopies. I like how a canopy does look. And I think that I want to try to foster a bit of a canopy over this. Or at least canopies based on the branches that are coming out with growth. Because if you look at it from this angle, there is this one branch coming up here. This has growth here. And then there's this next branch with growth. And then there's one underneath with growth. This in the center has died off. So the thing is, do I leave a piece of dead wood or do I remove that entirely? Choices we have to make today. So let me get to it. Considering that I'm sitting a bit lower than the tree itself, I think I'm going to start with, and I don't want to do anything that will disturb the roots too much. So I'm going to use my ratcheting pruners to come back on this branch here. So, and I'm going to try to hold the tree as steady as I can. This is some really hard wood. And this is off. Wow, this wood hard. Yo ho ho. Now this does not make any sense. Going all the way up here, that don't make no sense. If I want to create a piece of dead wood, I think I'll just leave just this little stub here. And when it's more established in this spot, I will proceed to prune it back or create that dead wood. But for now, just taking that off. So this is off. And now we could go on to pruning back to where we want. Okay, so giving you a much better look at the tree and still I'm not capturing the tippy tops. I am going to prune back these long extending bits to branches, doing some directional pruning. So I have a branch coming, pointing out here, a leaf pointing out here nicely. And I have to look out for the thorns because this species has some nasty thorns. I'm going to take that off there, taking off this long bit. So the hope is that something comes out this way. I have this branch coming out this way. So I'm looking for a leaf node and I see something here. And I am leaving a little bit of room for dieback. Coming around to this particular side of the tree. This thing's screaming windswept. Oh, yeah. This thing is screaming windswept. Huh. All right. I'm listening. I am listening to you. I am listening. So this branch, I'm going to look at this branch here. And I have a branch sweeping out in this direction down here. So I'm going to prune it back. I'm going to take a chance and prune it back to this point here. And I'm wondering, yeah man, I'm going for goal. Right. Looking at this branch just above it, I want to create something of a canopy on this. Can I create a canopy here and one here? It's a possibility. So if that is the direction, I want to look on this branch for something coming out on this side to give it more of a three-dimensional kind of a look. Because what is happening, look at it here. You have nothing coming out from on this side here, so nothing. I want to get something going that way. So I'm looking for a branch going that way, or a leaf node going that way. And I don't want to take it too tall because you want to create a bit of movement in your branches. So I'm going to take it back to this point here. There's a leaf going out this way. There's a leaf. This is from this little branch here. So I'm hoping that something comes out from here. Now, in the event that this is not going how I want it to go, it is still in something of a windswept style, so we could always change the alter the styling to suit the needs and the wants of the tree. So I have this branch coming up here, and I want to foster things coming out on this side, so I'm going to go back, quite back down here, and I'm making sure that you are seeing. Then I have this branch coming up here that is coming across on this side. So what do I want to do? I don't know why I feel as though I am instinctively pruning this to a windswept. Take a little prune on this little fellow here in the center. And this guy, where do I want to go with this guy? I'm looking at leaves coming out, and one of the thorns just got me. So I have a branch going forward. Do I want to go forward? No, I don't want to go backward. I could either go on the side, but then I'll be one-sided. And I don't want to send anything going across, because then I will cross the line, cross the trunk line. So I'm going to take it back to this point here. I have something coming out here. I have something coming out here. And now I have the last branch that is shooting out. Where do I want this? What are my options? One coming out here, one here, and they're staggering nicely here. And I have something with two here. So I'm going to take it here. Bringing the tree back quite a bit. And this ain't looking too bad and all here. From this angle, it doesn't look bad at all. The only concern that I have is that I don't have anything really on this side. As I turn in the pot, so you all could see it. You're seeing where all of the growth is going on that side, but I don't have much growth on this side. It would be nice if something could come out here. Then that would give that kind of volume that I want to create. Now the trunk is coming up, and I would have done some root work and try to create a radial root system, as radial as I could with it, to foster the creation of a nabari and foster that kind of thick to thin taper. There's a little bit of, I don't want to say swelling, but there's a little bit of evenness along the trunk. But my friends, for the age of this tree and for how I want it to develop, I in mind, I think with time and patience, we could get the development that we want. So let me bring you in a bit closer and call it a day. So these are the shoots that I took off, and just to show you, well, here, look at thorns on this thing now, man. These thorns are easy. They do, there's a saying we have here in Trinidad, they don't bite nice. They don't bite nice at all. So this is the base of the tree and it looks nice. I have to give this a nice good watering. It has been really very hot these days. And where I would usually water every other day or every 2 days because of the humidity that I have in my space, I have to water every single day because of the heat. It is drying out my soil rapidly. So we're coming up, down, and we're coming up at this nice bark, this nice crackling mature bark. And you have this first branch coming out here. And I would have done some pruning back, as you would have seen, to foster a little bit of a kind of canopy. And then you have this growth here, which I believe is a good starter. You know, as I said, the hope is that we get something coming out on the side here to give this tree a bit more depth. Yeah. So that is it. That is it. So my friends, that's it for today. As I usually say, be good to yourself, be good to others. Treat people how you want to be treated. And remember that our climate, our planet is our responsibility. We have an opportunity to change it for the better. If not for ourselves, let's do it for the future generations. Yeah? Click that like button. Right? It helps. As I'm saying these days, it helps. You know, drop those comments. I like reading the comments. I like responding to the comments. If you haven't subscribed as yet, now is a good time to do so. And share. If you know somebody that will benefit from the work that I'm doing, share it. Share it, share it, share it. Let's grow the channel. You know? And that is it. I'll go see you soon. Alright? Take care. Have a fantastic weekend, my friends. Bye.